It is the end of an era in Golden State as it is official. Klay Thompson is no longer a Golden State Warrior. Klay Thompson is a Dallas Maverick. Huh? Now, this I did not expect. It feels like a weird signing, but again, this is something that Dallas and Texas as a whole, as a state, gives benefit to the fact that they are, you know, a state with no state tax. So Klay Thompson can continue to save up more money. And they did go to the NBA Finals last year. And who would have thought that, Kyrie Irving, who was on the Cavs, and Klay Thompson, who was on the Warriors in those infamous battles, would now be teaming up with Luka Doncic. And I'm assuming that at this point, Klay Thompson will go to the bench and he will be a six man. I don't think that, Luka, Klay, Kyrie is a great starting lineup, especially with Klay Thompson at this point in his career. And I think Golden State finally did what was right. I was saying this on my show with Josh Unger that I do every Tuesday night in collaboration with Vultures Live Championship Rings. That, really over the last year, in my opinion, even though Klay Thompson did have a few moments of shining greatness, I think Klay Thompson's washed. I don't even think he's the shooter he once was, and we know he certainly is not the defender he once was. And again, it's no fault of Klay Thompson. He had back-to-back ACL injuries, and while he was, back to bring Golden State sort of one more championship in 2022, I think we all acknowledge now that after that 2022 championship, Golden State should have blew it up then. They tried to hang on to the dynasty for 2 years too long, and this is how all dynasties end. They all end in chaos, they all end in crumble, they all don't end happy, and then teams just disappear into the ether. Now, I do think Golden State's situation is unique because of the fact they do have Steph Curry, who's still in his prime, who is still arguably top five in the NBA. Probably, and in my opinion, the best point guard of all time. I think he's overtaken Magic Johnson for that spot, though you could certainly make an argument for Magic. I'm not going to fault you for making an argument for Magic, but I think Steph Curry has changed the game, maybe more than LeBron, MJ, Magic, Bird, more than anybody else in NBA history. And they still have Draymond Green, obviously. But Golden State needs a reset. They're not a great team out west. Again, they need a complete bench retool. We've seen now in the NBA, I have alluded to this so many times today. It's not the big three era anymore, which Golden State dominated. They won the championships before KD, with KD, and after KD. Golden State from the 2014-2015 season, basically through the 2021-2022 season, ran the NBA besides the 2 years that Klay Thompson was hurt. And, now they are basically a playing team, especially with the gauntlet that's going to be out west. And I get it. Klay, I think, passed up the Lakers for the Mavericks because understandably, think the Mavericks are in a better position right now to win a championship. You got Jason Kidd as a head coach instead of JJ Redick. You have a better roster. You have a team that just made the finals instead of a roster that needs to improve mightily. Now, saying that again, I think Dallas got some breaks. I think Oklahoma City is going to be better next year. Denver is going to probably come back with a vengeance. Though losing KCP certainly hurts them. Minnesota will be a year older, and we know how hard it is to get back to the NBA Finals. So I don't think Dallas is going to make it back to the finals. I do understand why Klay chose them, though, over the Lakers. But I don't think, and this may be the hot take, I don't think Klay helps Dallas at all. Again, I don't think he is the impact player he once was. He may give you 10, 15 points a night off the bench, but it's not going to be every night. And that's the problem. Klay is going to be inconsistent. And sometimes when you've been in one place your whole career and you go to another place, almost like Michael Jordan when he left Chicago and go to Washington, sometimes you just pack it in for the money and it doesn't work. Now, I don't think Klay's that guy. Again, I think Klay, Luka, Kyrie is a very interesting dynamic. If this was, 3, 4 years ago, Klay, and he was still a great defender, I think it could absolutely work because the scoring on that team, if Klay is, what he was in Golden State, would be, obviously horrific for opposing teams to try to guard that lethal amount of scoring with Kyrie and Luke off the dribble. You had your 3-point wing shooter and Klay. I still think that Dallas needs to add a stretch four, somebody other than PJ Washington who can stretch the floor. And again, I like Klay to maybe lead the second unit. Maybe you get a backup guard there so then Klay can come off some motion screens and move without the ball and give you production. But I don't think he's this piece to get Dallas over the top to win the NBA title next year. And welcome back to this 4th of July Independence Day edition of Brandon's World. Once again, we are in collaboration with the one, the only Voltage Live. My social media links are in the description below. Now, we have already talked about Paul George joining the Sixers, Mikal Bridges joining the Knicks, Donovan Mitchell staying in Cleveland, as well as Klay Thompson joining Dallas. With that in mind, I want to talk about something that happened last week that I addressed a little bit with my good friend, former Black Show radio colleague, Dante Centofonte, on Tuesday's show. And that is, of course, Bronny James being drafted by the team his father plays for, the Los Angeles Lakers, with the number 55 overall pick in the second round of the 2024 NBA draft. Now, as I mentioned at the top of this Independence Day edition of Brandon's World, last week I had on my good buddy Sean Fitzgerald from Black Show Radio on Tuesday. On Thursday, we brought on Clarence Wilson, my good friend from Believe in Media LLC. The reason why I had two guests on last week, along with Dante on Tuesday's show, is because I'll be honest, I really did not want to cover the 2024 NBA draft. I have said there will be a star in this NBA draft. I just don't know where. But with college basketball now, the one and done rule, with superstars playing overseas in the G League, college basketball has never been less relevant. I mean, look no further than Bronny James. He scored 4 points a game, and yes, he is LeBron James's son, and that is one of the reasons. And no, teams were not going to go and get him. Rich Paul made that very clear, which I did not have a problem with him saying that, Bronny's going to go to Australia. If the Lakers, if a team other than the Lakers don't draft him, because this has been LeBron James's dream for the past few years. And I have no problem with the father doing everything he can to make sure his dream, along with his son's dreams, come true. And by the way, I don't have a problem with the news that came out on Tuesday that Bronny James has signed a multi-year deal where he is going to be on the roster to start the year. I'll be honest with you guys. I think Bronny James, even though he, again, only averaged 4 points in college, he's not the greatest scorer. At 6'2", he may be a little bit small for an NBA point guard, but we know he's a really good defender, and we know he's a great passer. And I think that if he can expand his free-point shot, that actually fits LeBron's game perfectly, and it actually fits what the Lakers need, which is obviously a 3-and-D guy. And I would not be surprised if Bronny James at some point this season starts alongside his dad. Obviously, they're going to become the first father-son duo to play on the same team in the NBA. They may also become the first father-son duo to start a game in the NBA. And to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if it happened day one of this regular season. I think JJ Redick, being such a young guy, recently retired, he's going to nurture Bronny James. He's going to develop him. He's going to teach him the three. I actually think it's a really good head coach for Bronny James to begin his NBA career with. And I actually think alongside AD and Austin Reeves, some of the other pieces the Lakers have, he's going into a good locker room. It's not like the Lakers have a bad apple in the locker room. But I do think, and again, LeBron will not admit this publicly, because publicly he's going to say, he's all in on winning championship number 5. And he's going to take a discount, and still has not taken a discount. And Klay Thompson is already off to Dallas. And it sounded like that was the person LeBron wanted to join him in LA. That was the person that Klay's dad, Michael, who obviously played for the Lakers, wanted Klay to go to LA. He's not necessarily happy he's in Dallas. And again, I think when you take away this Lakers team, it's really LeBron, AD, Austin Reeves, a nice piece, and then after that, everybody is expendable or movable. Even though I do like Hachimura and some of the other guys that they do have. But I do think that LeBron privately will tell you he's done chasing championships. Again, he will not admit this publicly, but LeBron is 4 for 10 or 4-6 in the NBA Finals. he realized that the older generation will say that's not enough to beat Michael Jordan 6 for 6. And I won't get into Jordan's defensive player of the year, which I'm going to see because I don't really care about that. But I think what LeBron cares about now is obviously the stat padding. 2 years ago, he cared about becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer, and he's continuing to do that, along with piling up the assists, the playoff points, the rebounds, the steals, you name it. And when you look at longevity, which by the way, I don't think LeBron is going to be able to make it, even though I think he'd love to make it so that Bryce could be with him. I don't think it's going to happen. Bryce is 3 years behind Bronny. I think LeBron has openly admitted, hey, I'm not going to be able to play till I'm 42, 43. At age 40, LeBron is probably going to defy logic because he defied logic at age 39 with essentially putting up the same numbers he put up in his late 20s and in his 30s, just without obviously the defense that he had back in the day. But I think the newer generation, like myself, will look at, well, yes, LeBron did go 4 for 10 or 4 and 6 in the NBA Finals, but he had the incredible 3-1 comeback against Golden State in 2016, which is historically the best regular season team in the history of the NBA. And only, the 95-96 Bulls, which MJ was a part of, was even close. And the longevity and the legacy part of it, of again, the most points, the rebounds, the assists, the steals, the playoffs, all of that combined with the fact that the younger generation is going to see LeBron James play longer as opposed to Michael Jordan, and really only did it in 12 seasons, I think will help make LeBron's case because I think LeBron does want to go down as the greatest basketball player of all time. And I think he realized that championships now is not the way to do it. It's going to be longevity. So I can't wait to see Bronny in a Laker uniform. I think it's going to be special. I'm not saying he's going to be a good NBA player. I'm not saying he's going to be a trash NBA player. I think being with his dad and being with AD and being around Redick and the Laker culture and the Laker organization, I think will be good for him. I think it was clear from the beginning LeBron was not going to Cleveland or Utah or Phoenix or wherever. LeBron and Bronny wanted to stay in LA. Even Bronny going to USC made that clear. And obviously, let's hope his health stays in good health after the cardiac arrest. But I don't have a problem with anything that transpired. Bronny was the biggest name of the 2024 NBA draft, which again tells you to me the state of college basketball and the state of influx that really the NBA is in when it comes to its draft. It's nothing like the NFL, which again I think is bad for the league. But I'm excited. Bronny, Lakers opening night against Denver or even Boston in Boston for that championship ceremony, maybe even against Cleveland in Cleveland could be something the NBA could do. And I think they got to take advantage and market it all they could. Because I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised if this is LeBron James' swan song and his last year in the NBA is alongside his son, number 9, Bronny James, officially a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.